Welcome everybody back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 18. We are flying around doing double shots every Tuesday, one in the afternoon, one later on at night, and we are here for that second one. Immediately following this, we're going to do a live watch along for NXT. So if you guys want to go over and check the next stream, make sure you're following on all social media, Anthony Blackwell Jr., as well as if you're watching this live on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and also Twitter. Check out the other platforms. Right now, we're trying to grow either the Twitch side or the YouTube side. So if you can go over there, hit that subscribe. YouTube's we're about halfway there to 500. So if you guys can help me hit that major goal, that'd be awesome. We're on our quest to 1K. So if we can hit that big old 1K and make these corporations pay me, that'd be amazing. Links below for all of my guest stuff, as well as all things ABJ. So if you want to get t-shirts, merchandise, support the Patreon. Also in the links, there's two wrestling talents that are in the area around me. Really dear friends of mine, both injured, probably going to miss most of 2023 because of the injury. Independent wrestlers work really, really hard to entertain you, and they still have to work shoot jobs, and they got to get out there and still chase that dream. But sometimes when these injuries come, it's a major setback, not just for their careers and their dreams and their passions, but also their actual bank accounts and their real jobs. So if you can support them, Dina Steele and Philly Mike Swanson, check the links below. They have subscription services, pro wrestling tee links, and merchandise, 8x10s. You could reach out. If you can't do any of that monetarily, completely understand. Times are tough. Money's tight. But a like, a share, a comment goes a long way. I was saying earlier in the last episode over on Facebook, I made like $37, and that's just because people were sharing, commenting, and our Facebook said, well, you're monetized now because you're getting good traffic. So it cost anybody nothing to do that. All you did was share, like, comment, didn't even know you were doing it, and I made money off it. So like I said, let's milk these major billion-dollar corporations for all they have and help small content creators and people chasing those dreams on the wrestling scene, music scene, and all that fun stuff. Without further ado, I want to bring in first ever tag team to the ABJ podcast. Very excited. Never interviewed two people at once. My mind almost went dirty there for a second. But we're not going to do that because this is law enforcement. We are here to be serious. Top flight security of the world. I think I said that on commentary when I called for them. But I'm going to bring in Officer Ronnie Moses and Malcolm. What's going on, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Let's take that stuff off Officer Ronnie's face there. It's too much going on. And we need to. There you go. Like the guy worked too hard on that hair for it not to be shown off. What's going on, guys?
Man, we're just we're hanging in, just ringing in the new year.
Absolutely. So I got to meet you guys a little bit. Got to call a match of yours at Shore Star Wrestling, and it's not a secret here on the channel. I love me some gimmicks. I love me a gimmick. I love strong character work. And if there's the in-ring and everything else is there, I'm on board. And when you guys came out, I was like, this is fucking hilarious. Like, this is great. And I fell in love with the gimmick. Unfortunately, I haven't seen you back since. Hopefully that changes because the powers of Shore Star, they love this podcast. And maybe we can have you guys back or get you more bookings in the around the area because people hear about you through this podcast. So introduce yourselves to your guy, and we'll start from there.
Thank you, Anthony. It's funny you brought up that day. I just want to take a moment to put you over because, like, dude, as a wrestler, like, a good commentary team goes a long way, and you and Peter DeLonge just did an awesome job. Like, I really enjoyed listening to that back because, like, you put us over so awesomely. You guys did your research. I'd rather have silence than, like, I know me and Malcolm have had, like, commentary teams who they just get put on the headphones and they think it's a joke and they try to pop themselves, but, like, dude,
I mean, I'm doing that too, but I try my best to say somewhat professional.
Yeah. But yeah, Ronnie Moses is my real name. I am 25 years old. Malcolm and I met at Creative Pro New Jersey Wrestling School at the start of 2015. Damn, buddy, 8 years we've known each other.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm just realizing it's our anniversary. And yeah, this is what I wanted to do ever since I'm 5 years old. And I met Malcolm, and we formed our team in super late 2016, early 2017.
Nice. So I think you're the second or third person I've got to talk to on the podcast from Creative Pro, and it's awesome when you talk to people and you start because that's one of the questions I was about to ask here, where you guys come from, because when you start diving into the schools you go to, it starts making sense when you get like a group of people, you're like, oh, this person's really awesome and this person's really awesome, and they carry themselves and they conduct themselves a certain way and they have a presence and aura about them. And then you're like, oh, that makes sense because of where they're trained and how they handle the business and how they go about and represent themselves outside the business. And boy, if you're in the New Jersey, New York area, one of the places to be is Creative Pro.
Absolutely, man. It's funny. I was living in Staten Island at the time. I started training when I was 17. And I was just looking for wrestling schools in the area. And I just was thinking, like, what place is going to set me up for success the most? And I just did a quick online search and just Creative Pro jumped off the screen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the results speak for themselves. You look at the talent that came out of there. Sorry, go ahead, Malcolm.
Oh yeah, well for me, like I love wrestling my whole life. So then it took me a little bit longer to find the right school. So then, like once I was 26, I was listening to the podcast. Pat Buck had a podcast, and he was talking about his school that he just started. So I was like, all right, let me go and check it out. So then I drove over there, I checked it out, and then once I stepped in, because I thought I was a little bit older, I started when I was 26. So I was like, oh, I think I'm too old to wrestle. But then he reassured me that like he had older people there that are wrestling and that are succeeding. So once I got there, I was like, yeah, this place was meant for me.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. We went to a seminar in Jersey, Contest of Champions, and Pat Buck was there, and he gave a speech to everybody. He goes, like everyone now is coming up to me and saying like, yeah, you're doing a great job, and that's great, but it took me 15 years to get signed, like of nonstop grind, nonstop hustle, work ethic, and everyone that was there that was a name in the business, like Kazarian and all these people, literally said if you knew Pat Buck, you knew him for his work ethic and his grind and the way he's willing to push. And it took him 15 years. So anything's possible if you put the work in, and that is just a good mind to be around. And then obviously if you're on the New York side, Brian Myers up there, very, very talented as well. And how you're saying the talent that comes out of there, a lot of, I think, tag team champions in AEW, Creative Pro guys. The world champion right now,
the world champ, yeah,
is a Creative Pro guy. There's so much good people. I think the rookie of the year last year, Leo Sparrow, he's a Creative Pro guy. I'm a big VSK guy. He's Creative Pro, and the list goes on and on and on. So yeah, very, very great school, and man, it's awesome. Like one of the other schools I got to experience recently was Monster Factory. And just like that's another school too. You look at the history, you're like, man, Bam Bam Bigelow came out of here, like Damian Priest, Matt Riddle. It's like it's cool that how spoiled we are in this Northeast area of just amazing places that people can go and get wrestling training. And not a lot of people know where to go or how to do it. So it's always a good question for me to ask. And that's why I like to find out how people do it. Because you said 26 years old and you're still like, well, where do I go? Where do I go? And maybe we can circumvent that and get people in the game faster,
Yes, definitely.
So when you guys got together, did you know right away we're going to form this tag team? How did the tag team form? Like, did you guys have a conversation? How did this get? Where we show up one day and the booker goes, you tag team, you're going to go against this guy. Like, how did this go?
It's a funny story. So Malcolm has his side of the story. I have mine. I was a singles wrestler through 2016, and I was just kind of, I don't know, just got lost in the shuffle. Like I think I had a gimmick that wasn't really well suited for me, even though I was too young and inexperienced to realize that. And Malcolm, I'll let you tell your side of.
Well, when I came in actually with my brother. So we was going to be a tag team together, but then I guess something happened or life or whatever. So I guess he didn't have the passion like I did. So he went off and he left. So then like I kind of got lost in the shuffle too. Well, I tried to figure who I was going to be or what I was going to be. Then I started teaming with Hush. His name is Hush, and he's a deaf wrestler. So we formed the tag team together too. But it just didn't work out. So that's when I was trying to reinvent myself and try to figure out what was next in my career or what I was going to do next because I didn't know what I was going to do next. And I kind of figured that me and Ronnie was going to be together because we was always in matches against each other, and we just had a chemistry. Like when you get in the ring, you will know when you have a chemistry with someone, and it just felt right when we was in the ring with each other. It felt like we did have a chemistry, and I was like, I have a feeling that we're going to end up together.
So, what was your character, Ronnie, that was not suited for you?
My name was Golden Boy Ronald Kingsley, and in hindsight, if you look at what MJF is doing on TV now and what he's been doing all these years, I was kind of doing that, but like not good. I was just like,
be the clean cut white guy and go out there and be arrogant.
But,
you're like, oh, that's original.
Yeah, he's from Long Island. That's really him. My dad's a cop. I'm very middle class.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, like Malcolm was saying, this is no knock on anyone, but like there was a crop of kids that came in around that late 2014, early 2015 time. And just the nature of wrestling schools is that a lot of guys and girls don't make it. And, you know, it's tougher than people realize. So by the end of 2016, Malcolm and I were kind of like the last guys left standing from that group. So how it actually happened was it was one WrestlePro event where they needed security to go out for a spot. And it was a much larger group than, you know, the two of us. But spot happens. We all got bumped around. And then, they just had the idea of like, what if we made this a thing? Like, and we'll call them job security. And my original thought was, I don't really want to do that. I just kind of want to keep doing what I'm doing. But the more I thought about it, I just realized, like, I'm lost in the shuffle. Maybe I just need to take one step back to take two steps forward.
Mm-hmm. Now, the characters of Officer Ronnie Moses and Malcolm, are you cops? Are you security? Where do you guys fall? Are you security who want to become cops? What is the goal for these characters?
We are security officers, but the Security Inc. that you see today, obviously we have a different team name now. There's been a lot of evolution. We were really just given that was the name. And then the rest, honestly, not to pat ourselves on the back, but we just took it and made it our own creativity, especially, for Malcolm.
Yeah, I just, it was just all creativity. Like one day, because I go by the guard dog Malcolm Murray. So then I remember when I came up with the idea, I went to a seminar. It was for one of our coaches, Mario Boccara, and he was talking to me, and I was asking him about how can I stand out in the group, and like how can I reinvent myself. So then he told me just look in the mirror and just see who you are and just be honest with yourself. And I looked in the mirror and I said, "Hey, I'm a dog." So I remember I called Ronnie and I was like, "Hey, I have this idea for a gimmick. I want to be a guard dog." I was like, "A guard dog could be a security guard, right?" So I took it and I just ran with it.
I love it, dude. Honestly, like when I was watching it, I was like, "Yo, this is like if you took like the junkyard dog and made him literal, like you know what I mean? Like you're crawling around, you're biting at them. Like I was like, this is JYD, but like in today's times, it's awesome. So it's all like yeah. So the best way, if people haven't seen a match from you guys, please search them up. They are on Shore Star as well as Creator Pro. I'm sure you can go on their YouTube page and see their stuff there. But it's essentially the security officer and a guard dog. But when Malcolm comes in the ring, he's wrestling like a dog. Like it's the full character. It's a lot of fun. So how long have you guys been together as a team and forming this and taking this on the road?
It's been 6 years now.
Wow. That's exciting. I can't believe like I've just found out about you guys last year. I was like, as soon as I watched, I'm like, this is amazing, Pete. And he's like, yeah, like why? Like because I was stuck in the Pennsylvania area. I only knew Pennsylvania wrestling. So if someone came to PA from outside, that's kind of where I got my scene. And then just last year breaking into Jersey, I just got to like a whole new world of independent wrestling, and I love it.
Yeah, I feel like now that because we've been wrestling in the business for like 8 years, but I feel like now that I feel like we're at the wrong, like at the first rung because we do like it gets a little frustrating that we hit up promoters and we try to get into different places, but I think that they have to see us live in order for us to like to for them to be brought in. So I feel like right now we're like at the first rung where we're actually going out and trying to get back on these shows and try to get on different companies and different shows because it's hard when you're hitting up promoters and they're no selling your text. But
Yeah,
I think
it's
that soon we're gonna like they're gonna see the talent that me and Ronnie have, and then we're gonna be getting booked in different places and more often.
I think another struggle too is it's crazy. In professional wrestling, it's really insane to me how in one aspect you're encouraged to be original and to be different from everybody else. But then when you're trying to be original and different, you lean into a gimmick or a character, and character work is essentially what made wrestlers in the 80s and the 90s what they are today. But then we have this gap, I guess, like Attitude Era slash Ruthless Aggression, where the character kind of died and everybody wanted to be the tough guy in the ring. Everybody wanted to be the MMA fighter. Everybody wanted to be taken seriously. Everyone's like, I want to go in there. And every promo was like, you are dead and I'm going to beat you up. And characters disappeared. And then like if a good character showed up, they weren't world champions. They weren't given titles. They weren't given the faces of the company. And now this new era is changing everything once again, where you have people like, oh, I'm not hindered by my character. I can work my ass off. And I think that's starting to change now in that perception. Like you see tag teams like Main Event. You're watching AEW and you're seeing Orange Cassidy, who his whole character gimmick is he doesn't care, but he's one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, realistically, when he wants to start going. And I hopefully that stigma changes. Like when you think of like Orange Cassidy, I always argue, I'm like, he could be a world champion, but because of the way wrestling is kind of like, well, characters can't be that. I hope that starts to change, and that's probably what's happening is promotions are seeing you guys, seeing it's a gimmick, and these old school people are just like, I'm not working with that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a mistake. It's a huge mistake.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Anthony. I mean, to go off what Malcolm was saying, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a little frustrating lately. And to be honest, like we have chips on our shoulders, like we know what we're capable of, we know our talent level, and yeah, we're just all we really need is an opportunity. If you want to call us a gimmick, then that's fine, because I know that we could go into that ring and I could frisk someone, Malcolm could bite some guy's ass, but we could also we could wrestle too. So
Yeah, absolutely. You're both very
could do any
talented.
style really.
And when I said JYD, listen, I said JYD for a reason. JYD was an amazing. Like, I mean, towards the end of his career, when people watched him later, he was getting older and he was up there in weight, and he wasn't as passionate. But you watch old JYD, and he's shooting on people and beating the dog shit out of. You know what I mean? He was a badass wrestler. JYD was the Hogan of the South. You know what I mean? And so, like when I say that, that's a compliment, because you guys are both very talented in the ring. Like I said, the gimmick is there as well. I think it's a total package. One of my favorite tag teams in the scene right now is Main Event, and that's a ringleader and his pet lion. You know what I mean? Like, and they're now the House of Glory tag team champions, and they're getting opportunities against the Briscoes and all these amazing tag teams. So the fact that if that's the reason that people are getting hindered, it's just a dumb mistake.
Yeah, and you talk about Main Event. I think that's one team that I would love to get in the ring with too. Is Main Event. I think that our gimmicks are just they compare well to each other. I think it'll be a fun match. It'll be a very entertaining match, but I think that it'll be also like a really good showcase match for us.
I could not agree more watching you guys versus Main Event, because I think it would be a banger, because all four of you are extremely talented, and then you could add your little character work in there, and it'd be like they're doing the hoop spots and the ring, and like they have the meat that they throw that the lion chases, but you're also a dog who would like meat, so you're both chasing after it. It would be amazing. Listen, I know a lot of promotions listen to this. Let's book that match. Let's get it done. And when it happens, make sure the ABJ podcast is attached to it, because we're putting things in reality here. Here you go. Dude Ringside said, Security Inc. versus Shook Crew.
Oh, that's a match you might be seeing soon.
Let me tell you this, Anthony. We are the #1 contenders for the Victory Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championship right now. And the Shook Crew just so happens to be the Victory Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions.
There it is.
So, as soon as Bryce Donovan is healed from his injury, we're going to be looking to invoke our clause for that match.
Now, if you guys were to pull this off, would this be your first time of you guys holding tag team gold?
No. We are former WrestlePro Tag Team Champions.
Perfect.
But that was a few years ago. So one of our top goals for this year, honestly. I want to get gold anywhere, really.
Yeah. Now, when you guys when WrestlePro, because I'm still learning a lot too. Like I said, I think some people get offended if you're like, oh, you don't know my small promotion in PA. I'm like, dude, you have to realize TV wrestling and independent wrestling are two things. Like there's thousands and thousands of wrestlers in a 100-mile radius of each other, let alone you spread that out across countries and states. And the talent pool is huge. But Create a Pro, when they run, like, they have a tag team champions. Is New Jersey's branch have its own tag team champion, and the New York branch, or do they merge people together for shows?
No, there's Create a Pro and WrestlePro are separate promotions.
Okay.
So Create a Pro runs out of Long Island, and then WrestlePro mostly runs out of New Jersey.
Okay.
And there's also an Alaska branch, which is also separate.
What's his name? Just went to Alaska, I think. Was it Yusufer?
Yeah.
Which that is a match made. You're literally sending a frozen caveman to Alaska. Like that is. That's not the greatest thing. That's Create a Pro too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Dude, I love him to death. That's another name I want more people to know of. Is Yusufer, because I think he's so entertaining. And who's the other guy that cracks me up every time? Tech Support Steve.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about.
I just died laughing seeing him for the first time. But yeah, like I said, love me some gimmicks. So yeah, so you guys are looking to just branch out, get more things. What are some promotions you want to work for? Some states that you haven't that you would like to branch into?
Wrestling Open was a big one for us last year, and we did get to debut there. I'm looking to just be a part of it every Thursday because that's an awesome environment. You know, we actually did go up against Main Event in a 6-man tag team match there, and it didn't really go our way. So we're looking to get a rematch there for sure. Just like the New England area is just so special to me. Just like there's so much great talent out there. Chaotic Wrestling is another place that comes to mind. Do you have any, Malcolm?
I don't know places, but I know I want to branch it to New York because when I was coming up, I don't know, there was something special about going to New York shows and just like sitting there and helping out and just watching people come up, like watching Eddie Kingston and watching different guys like growing up. I was just like, it was amazing to see how interactive the fans were with these guys who were coming up. So I would just like really like to wrestle in New York, and also any New Jersey promotions that we haven't wrestled already. I would like to wrestle there too.
Fun fact: I've never been to New York City.
Really?
I've only ever been like upstate. I've never been in the city of New York. So that if my first time ever in the city would be working for a wrestling promotion, that would be kind of dope. So that's kind of
yeah, it would be.
You gotta make
I'm someone who's never really. I'm like Charlie from Always Sunny. Like I just never left my little radius of where I lived most of my life. And as of just like starting this commentary job about a year and a half ago, like now I'm driving to Jersey twice, like 3 times a month. Like that was unheard of for me. Like I'm going to Jersey. Like that's like, is that like a month? Like do I have to plan away for a month? Like that's so far away. And then I'm making the drive there and back in like in a matter of a 12-hour, 20 like hour shift. You know what I mean? It's nuts. It's weird how that goes. But we do have we're finally, look at the chat's blowing up, and we got some questions here. So Jakey Bakey says, Ronnie, do you have any, well, I'm going to pose this to both of you, but do you guys have any athletic backgrounds prior to stepping in the ring? So did you play sports? Did you train boxing, jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts?
I played football for a few years when I was a teenager, when I was 13 up until like halfway through high school. I will say this. If you don't have an athletic background, it makes it a lot more difficult to adapt into professional wrestling. So I'm extremely grateful for my time playing football.
The
I
discipline
had a lot of
aspect
fun.
of running to you feel like you're going to die and pushing yourself past that limit, like that's
Pretty
where
much,
sports is going to
yeah.
give you that edge. Yeah. What about you, Malcolm?
In high school, I was in wrestling, and I did track and field. And then after high school, I got into MMA.
Nice, nice. So I usually ask this early on, but we started going, which is great. I love this. But what age did you guys get bit by the wrestling bug? Like, can you? What was your first memory of consuming professional wrestling and being like, oh, this is something I'm into?
I was, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I was at my friend's house, and he had WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth on PlayStation 2.
Great game.
And I know it's weird, but that was my first exposure to wrestling, was the video game.
Yeah.
And then after that, my dad was like, "Look, this stuff is on TV too," and I was blown away. And then from there, I was collecting action figures, and I think by the time I was 7, I was like, "I want to do this when I grow up."
Who was your favorite growing up? Like, who was your go-to guy?
The guy that first drew me in was Brock Lesnar, because there was a brief time in 03 where he was a babyface and he was feuding with the Big Show, and I watched him F5 the Big Show, and I was amazed. Like, this is a 500-pound giant, and Brock Lesnar strong enough to lift him up on his shoulders. I want to do that.
I think when it's all said and done, Brock Lesnar, we're going to be talking him in the same vein as Andre the Giant. I
Yeah.
think I don't think he gets that respect of he is a wonder of the world. Like Brock Lesnar, we are never going to have another Brock Lesnar. Like once he's long, like there's never going to be another guy like that. He is a anomaly. Like that's never going to happen again. And
It's true.
I think people are starting to really realize now in his last run that he just put on of how special of a person he really is.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Malcolm?
For me, well, my grandparents, they loved. I was adopted by my grandparents, and they watched wrestling throughout the house. So when I was a baby, they used to, in order to get me to stop crying, they would put me in front of the TV, and then they had this cassette. It was the Wahoo McDaniel cassette, and they would put it in the VCR, and that would stop me from crying because they'll just sit me there, and I'll be watching TV. So throughout my life, I'll just be watching wrestling, and then I became addicted to watching my favorite wrestler, Hulk Hogan. And then after that, once Hulk Hogan left the WWF, then I became a big Shawn Michaels fan. And then once I started watching Shawn Michaels, then that's when I knew, like, yeah, I want to do this for my life.
That's a change. Hogan the Shawn.
Yes.
Everyone tried to force Hogan on me, and I never liked Hogan. I was never a Hogan guy. I was always into the characters of the heels. Like growing up, I was a Savage. I didn't like Warrior either, even though I like characters, but I just didn't like that. Paid off really well as I got older because I realized he's a horrible human. But like I was a Piper. I was a Mr. Perfect, Macho Man. Like they were all my Jake the Snake, even though he's the first wrestler that made me cry. Yeah, it was just the snake biting the arm. Bawled my eyes out. I thought Macho Man was dead for probably mentally why I'm afraid of snakes to this day. But yeah, dude. And how you said your grandparents are into wrestling. When I go to a wrestling show and I see that the older lady in the crowd, I know right off the bat that's going to be the best fan in the building.
Yeah. Funny story too. When we was younger, so they always thought that it was real, and we got to meet Hulk Hogan. So it was in the same day that I got to meet Barney, like the dinosaur. So I went and we got an autographed picture from Hulk Hogan. And my whole life, we put that picture up there. You would have thought that was Jesus. That was like our shrine of like Hulk Hogan and a Macho Man hat that we had.
That's awesome. Hogan and Barney in the same day. That's like a kid
Yes.
right there. That is, you just tackle the Holy Grail as a child at that point in time. Jesus, Hogan and Barney. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. Like, how do you top that next year? So, when you do you think they inspired you in your style, or when you say you like your wrestling style, is there someone that you guys go back and kind of study and be like, kind of emulate that or put that into what you're doing now?
That for me, it's a big mix. I think when I was first breaking in, I was more heavily influenced by Triple H. I think nowadays I try to wrestle a little bit more to my size because I was a big kid growing up, and then I topped out at 5'10", and I'm a cruiserweight. So I think now I'm heavily influenced by the Hurricane. I've stolen a few of his moves. As a team, we take influences from. I mean, physically, we're kind of like the Heart Foundation.
Mhm.
We've taken influences from the Rock and Roll Express, the Bushwhackers, just to name a couple. You go ahead.
House of Benjamin.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, for me too, it's just I just took a little pieces. I just look at wrestlers and just see what I can do. So I take bits and pieces from different people. Like with me, I took pieces from Dusty Rhodes. I've taken things from Junkyard Dog. So I just sit there and just study and just see like, all right, I like that. Now how can I make that for me? You know?
Do you ever see the video where Junkyard Dog shoots on a guy in the ring and just beats the dog
Yeah,
shit out of him?
yeah.
Yo, that guy, I thought that guy was gonna die. I don't remember the story of what happened, why he did it, but I think he no sold like 3 things from Junkyard, and Junkyard was just not having it that day. And just beat the shit. It's on the internet. It's pretty crazy. It's almost like when Anaki beat the cop out of that one guy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was bad too.
Bill Burr commentating that is the funniest thing ever. If you need something to laugh at after we get out here, look up Bill Burr commentates Onaki shoot match. It's great.
Yeah.
Because it's Bill Burr, and it's just like he slaps him in the fucking head. And yeah. So what are some goals? Actually, before we get to goals, what are some things you guys accomplished in 2022 that motivates you to then push into 2023? What are some highlights of last year that you were excited about?
Like I said earlier, debuting for Wrestling Open was a big check for us. Becoming number 1 contenders for the VPW tag team titles. We made our debut there, debuting at SSW. I think we went to Massachusetts for the first time. That was a big one. Challenging for the Proving Ground Tag Team Championship. And, we put out a post about this. Like, for 2022, like, we had a lot of, always the bridesmaid, never the bride type moments. Like, oh, we made it here, but we couldn't finish the job. So, it left us wanting more, if I'm being honest. So
that's good. That's a good fire in your
this
flame.
This year it's finished the job and just keep expanding.
Anything to add, Malcolm?
No, just what he said is just I always felt like that. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So like I don't know. I just feel like we just gotta show more, and then we'll get there. We'll get to the finish line. You know.
Yeah. Millie says Security Inc. versus Diamond City War Machines is a match I'd like to see. Same here. Diamond City War Machines is a tag team out of PA. These guys, at one point in time, they were pushing 300-400 bills. They were real heavy, and then reinvented themselves, lost a ton of weight.
Wow.
Got to the point now where they're on another reinvention of their careers. I think they're healthy. Their mind states are great. They're killing it right now. But they've been around a very long time. But they're also that team that you want your back in your backstage because they've just been around so long and they're just so helpful and giving to other talent. And they just put on some really, really fun matches. But yeah, Millie, I agree 100%. That'd be a match. This is what you need to do, people, when you're watching this. If you're in the independent scene and you have all these different promotions around you, tag them. You follow these guys on social media and be like, hey, at High Tension, at PPW, I want to see these guys in this promotion. Bring these guys in. The people have more of a voice than you guys think you have. If you put the buzz out there, that's how they got these opportunities. This podcast is just a starting point. The more people that listen to this and the more people that consume it and then go out there and put the talent over that they heard on this podcast, because maybe this is your first exposure to them as well, is the way we can get people opportunities, help each other grow in this community. So going into 2023, let's talk about the hit list. We already talked about main event and Shook Crew. Who are some other tag teams that you have your eye on?
Yeah, we put out a post. Those are 2 teams that are on the list. I will say we have a most wanted fugitives, and their names are the Rat Bastards, who we've actually wrestled before. But the reason why they are most wanted is because they attacked us at the last VPW show after we became number 1 contenders. So we're going to check that first one off our list, February 11th. It's Victory Pro Wrestling. The event is called Notorious. So if you guys want to look that up, those of you listening, it's in Long Island, New York. We want all our citizens out there because we're going to kick the rat bastards' asses. So that's number one, Anthony. Outside of that, we have some dream matches, Shot Through the Heart, TJ Crawford and Love Doug. We want to get up to Massachusetts and face them.
I love Doug.
It's been a long time since we were in the ring with TJ Crawford. Who else, Malcolm? Help me out.
Iron Savages.
Yes.
Definitely. No. And if we could, the Acclaimed, because we came up together with them.
So this hat right here, I can't get it done right here. So that's a ring post from Can't Believe Frog Sport. It's a Dark Order mask underneath it, and on top is the pink hat. So before, like, they had the AEW shop merchandise, they were selling those pink, like, dad hats, and it just says "Scissor Me" embroidered on it.
Yeah.
And I met them at a show, and I bought it off them. And I actually said to them, I said, can I just tell you about the huge missed opportunity you guys had? And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, Chris Jericho walks on TV and says "Yabba Dabba Do," and it becomes on a T-shirt. Eddie Kingston says "D's nuts," it's on a T-shirt. I said, you give the world "Scissor Me, Daddy Ass," and that's not on a T-shirt. And Bowens looked right at me and goes, who is going to wear a T-shirt that says "Scissor Me, Daddy Ass"? And I said, me. I would wear that T-shirt.
A lot of other people.
And he literally goes, whatever, dude. And that was right when when Billy Gunn left and went back to the Guns before he was like full blown part like daddy ass. And then I was like, yo, you missed the boat. Like, Billy Gunn's gone and you didn't make any "Scissor Me, Daddy Ass" merch. And they're like, who's gonna buy that? And then a couple months later, they put Billy Gunn back in, and "Scissor Me, Daddy Ass," it was the #1 selling T-shirt. And I bought one. And I tweeted, I'm like, I told you I would buy one. They didn't retweet that, but they retweeted. I had my first retweet by both members of the team, which I popped for, is when Leo Sparrow, his commentary card, where he hands the commentary team his notes.
Yes.
Card, which is the greatest thing a wrestler can do. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Everyone in professional wrestling. But he handed, and I literally was like, this is genius. How, like, why did no one ever think of this? And I took a picture of it, and I said, once again, Creator Pro talent above and beyond, thinking of new inventive ways in the business. And they both retweeted it and showed them that love. So I was like, that was kind of cool. Showing that love. But anyone else on that list, on your most wanted list?
Leo Sparrow, actually, he teams with a guy named Gil.
Yeah,
VK. So I would love to get in the ring with them too. I think that would be a real fun match.
Now, is there ever like a rivalry between the New York side of the school and the Jersey side? Like, do you guys look at each other and be like, "Oh, that like I want"? It's almost like the NXT versus the two different rosters but under the same umbrella. You're like, I want that guy up there. Or they kind of have that.
Yeah, it kind of is too. Yeah, it is.
We've I think that Even Stevens are a great example of that because we've been in the ring with them a few times and we've gone back and forth.
Yeah, that's sick. That'd be a fun thing to do there. Just kind of having that cross brand where it's like you're exposing your Jersey side to your New York side and vice versa. But listen, guys, I'm pumped. Like I said, I really want to see more of you guys and do this. So I was telling you early in the show, and I'm just brainstorming and I'm trying to think of ways to interject this in, but I think I found it. And we're gonna do a draft. All right. So we're gonna get 3 rounds. I need people in the chat. The first person that gives me a name, who drafts first, either Ronnie or Malcolm. I will draft last. But we're gonna do a fantasy draft, and if this keeps popping off and people like it, I'll let the people in the chat pick what the draft's gonna be every episode. But for this one, I think because we're doing security and police officers, we're gonna do our favorite pop culture police officers or security guards. You each get 3 picks. And as soon as someone in the chat gives me a name, they draft first. Whoever wasn't picked drafts second, and I will go third. So now's your time to maybe brainstorm in your head a few different pop culture or anything pop culture inspired wrestling characters. Daniel said here another one: the Dudley Boys versus Ink Security. I don't think we're gonna get Devon and Bubba in the same room, but you could try.
You know what's funny, Anthony? If I could hop in,
Yeah.
I believe Devon has twin sons that are wrestling now.
Yes, he does.
And I would love to get in the ring with them.
I might have offended Devon one time at a show, because this is when I loved tag team wrestling and I hated what was happening in WWE at the time, because they had, in my opinion, one of the best tag team divisions in wrestling, and the tag team champions was Braun Strowman, an 8-year-old, and Braun Strowman literally went out week after week and crushed the whole division, and I was like, you just killed your whole tag team division. I hate this. And I was at a meet and greet, and I'm standing in line. And Devon, I go, Devon, what's going on with your kids? I know they're training. He goes, well, right now they're in Japan. They're doing their thing. I'm like, and then hopefully they get a chance at NXT. And I was like, cool, just keep them off the main roster. And he goes, why? And I go, because they don't know how to book a tag team division. And Devon goes, I'm one of the writers for Raw. And I go, I didn't even hold back. I said, then fix it. I said, you have Braun Strowman, you have FTR, you have all these amazing tag teams, and Braun Strowman's killing them all. What are you doing? Why are you writing that? He literally just like this. I was like, Devon's gonna kill me.
Well, I don't think that's as bad as my story. we were doing extra work. I did extra work one time, right? So then I was backstage and they sent an email. They said, do not talk to Vince, don't talk to Stephanie, and don't talk to Triple H because they're busy. So I'm coming down this hallway, and as I'm walking down this hallway, Vince comes out of his office. So I'm like, I remember the email. I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. So I was like, I'm not going to say nothing to him. So I try to put my head down and like walk past him. It was like a small hallway in the Boston Gardens. So I'm trying to walk past him and not like say anything to him because I remember the email. So I have my head down and I'm walking. And as I get past him, I'm like a couple steps away from him. I just hear him scream, well, hi, damn it. And I just felt so bad. I just turned around. I was like, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
They told me in the email not to talk to you.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was like, yep, I'm not going to get hired here.
All right. Now you gotta answer when he's walking backstage. He's doing the arm thing still, right?
Yes. There is a power walk.
Yeah.
He walked into the boardroom when he took back over WWE, and he's like, I'm back. And he's home. All right. In the chat, I need either a Ronnie or I need a Malcolm. Someone put something in the chat so we can get our first round draft pick here. Once again, check the links below for all things for these guys to follow them on social media. So they are on. Let me pull it up real quick to look at it. They are on. Actually, I didn't get your guest links, so you're not in the links below. So after this episode's over, you need to send me your links so I can put them down there.
Okay.
Your YouTube and stuff. So that's not in the chat. So I apologize. But yeah, someone give me a name. Or I'm just gonna randomly pick. We'll start that. But cops, do you guys have any plans in your head here? You have an idea of your first rounds here?
Yeah, I do.
I can think of one.
You can think of one. All right. Well, Malcolm has a little bit more, so we'll let you draft first, Malcolm. I'm making an executive decision. You draft first. Moses second. Ronnie's second, and I'm third here. So your first number one pick, pop culture cops, are security guards. Who's your number one pick?
My first pick is someone they say that I kind of look like. And that'd be Carl Winslow.
that is a great. And not only is he Carl Winslow, but I will even give you the cop in every other movie he was in when he played.
Yes. Yep.
He's just the quintessential pop culture cop. That is a great first rounder. You can't go wrong with that pick. Ronnie, one's off the board.
I am picking Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Love it. That's another good one. I'm going to stick with wrestling. I'm going to go first round. I know there's a lot out there, a lot of big names, but if we're a wrestling style podcast and we're talking about wrestling and we're talking about police officers, I'm going Big Boss Man for the number one.
Wow.
Yeah, we're taking Boss Man off the board right away.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you did because I was going to pick him, but my number two will be the Mountie.
The Mountie. That is a Canadian police.
Yes.
Wrestling off the board. I actually met PCO, and he was not the Mounties when they were a tag team.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more police officer characters in professional wrestling, unless you know one, Ronnie, your second round pick.
I'm thinking of Breezango when they were dressing as the fashion.
I think dressing as
the fashion police.
Yeah, fashion police. I'll take it if that's your pick. I'll allow fashion police.
I was a big fan of them as a tag team.
I love that. Yeah, Fashion Police is gonna be number one. My second round pick, I'm going with some of the best security tandem in a movie of all time, and it's gonna be Friday After Next. And I'm going Craig and Day Day.
Yes.
They were the security guards at Holy Moly Donut Shop, and they got robbed by Santa Claus. So I'm going to Friday After Next. Craig and Day Day, not on duty. Craig, not on duty.
So this one, I'm gonna shock you guys, but the security officers or police that I'm going for is from the other guys, and it's not Will Ferrell and it's not Will Ferrell. It's The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson.
From the other guys.
Yes, they had a short run, but they were in the movie.
Bro, that scene is so funny. Bushes,
yes,
and they're playing the Foo Fighters, and they just hit the ground. Next scene's their funeral. Great scene. All right, Ronnie, third round. This is it. Final pick.
This one's a little out of the box, but Malcolm and I are big fans of the Flash series on the CW.
Okay.
I'm picking Detective Joe West.
All right. That's an awesome pick.
I don't know if Barry Allen would count. He's a forensics.
Yeah.
He's in the police department, though. I don't know.
Hunter says, so we're talking about pop culture security guards, and my pick stands as Steve Wilkes from the Jerry Springer Show and his own show. That's a great pick. It's a great pick. And Matthew now says, I'm hungry for donuts. We all are. So my last pick, I'm gonna go with another team. I want to bring in a team of security once again for my last pick, and I'm gonna go with police officers, and I'm gonna go with the most badass tag team cops of all time. And I'm going to go with the Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember their cop names, but other character names. I just know it was Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Yeah, Bad Boys 1, 2, and 3. How you going to say the devil's at his door, man?
Yeah. Can I do an honorable mention?
Yeah, I'll do it. We'll do a round of honorable mentions. I'm into it.
I got an honorable mention for the guy who does the sounds in Police Academy.
Great pick.
Yes.
Yeah. You have an honorable mention pick, Ronnie?
Nah, I got nothing.
My honorable mention will be Chief Wiggums from The Simpsons. He's always fun.
Yes.
That's gonna be my pick. That was fun. That's the first time in the podcast that has been done. I've been kicking that idea around for a little bit.
That was fun.
Random drafts, but going forward, maybe this entices more people to watch live. You guys can pick next draft. So next Tuesday when we go live, when my guest is on, if you listen to the conversation and you could find a fun theme or a fun draft, we will be down for your suggestions. So that'll be something going forward. Guys, anything that we haven't talked about that you guys want to get out there?
I would like to mention that we have a merchandise site. It is securityinc.bigcartel.com. If you go on there, we have t-shirts, we have 8x10s, which are on sale. Please help yourself. We appreciate the support. And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SecurityIncPro.
There it is. And make sure when we get out here, send me the link so I can update that in the bio.
I definitely will. Malcolm, is that your daughter?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry about that.
I never heard her yell like that. My God.
Right now. Malcolm, anything that we didn't talk about that you want to get out there before your kid destroys the house?
No, it was just an honor to be on the show, and I hope to see you soon. Hopefully, we're on a SSW show soon, and we get to see you and hang out.
Yeah, SSW is still very, very new and in their path, and I think right now they're trying to forge out that singles division, and they're slowly working in tag teams every show to see what sticks and what to do. But I definitely can see. I can't speak for anybody because I'm not in charge of the booking there. But if that tag team division ever starts forming, I'm sure you guys are going to be high on that list. I know last show we had Boom and Deshaun Pratt's team show up, and they were another. I love Deshaun Pratt so much, so having him back in the scene was really good. But yeah, I hope so as well. I hope more promotions that see this work. I do have another place I can shout out to you that you should look into. We'll talk about the details afterwards, but check out the Sanctuary. Sanctuary is another one in Pennsylvania here. Actually, Anthony Bowens was going to be the original champion of that promotion. It's an old church they converted into a wrestling studio. So it's kind of like a closed circuit. It doesn't move. It stays there. The craziest lights and production you're going to see. And it's really, really cool. But yeah, that's going to do it here for the ABJ podcast. Once again, thank you to Ronnie Mose and Malcolm for hanging out with us. The door's always open if you have cool thing going on, if you have a big match you want to promote, if you want to come on to one of the other shows I do where we just talk wrestling in general, our movies, our television. The door's always open. I really appreciate it. My first ever tag team on the podcast. I could not have picked a better one, and it worked out great. I didn't know how I was going to do interviewing two people, and I hope I spread it out equally throughout the interview. But we're going to leave it off there. So check back in a little bit, check out the links, but check Security Inc. on all social media. Just type them in, follow them, and show them some love. Tell them how they did on the podcast. If you're listening to this later back on audio or anything, leave a review. I'm going to start reading reviews off on the podcast. And if you want to support by getting any of the merchandise from anybody, just please do so and tell them maybe in the notes when you check out. Heard you on the ABJ podcast. That's why I'm buying this t-shirt. But that's going to do it here for the podcast. We're going to play you out with some Billy Trey. I have a guy who makes my own custom music. He's really talented. Billy Trey, the Converse Kid. If you guys need music for your intros or outros that's not copywritten and it's your personal music, he's in my links below as well. Hit him up, the Converse Kid. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Actually, before I get out of here, let's tell you who's here next Tuesday. So next Tuesday in the morning is going to be Coach Raff is joining the podcast. He's one of my favorite managers in the game, and he's going to come down and talk to us about his journey and working in the Northeast scene. And then we're gonna hit up another member. We had him earlier today, but we're gonna have another member of the Honor Society, Zach Zander, young man in the game, working his ass off, and we're gonna talk to him about his early stages and steps in the pro wrestling industry. But we'll see you guys next time on the ABJ Podcast, episode 18, Security Inc. We are out of here. See you later.